Chip and Joanna Gaines welcomed their bundle of joy, baby Cruz, into the world on June 21st. Well, now Joanna's opening up about the surprise pregnancy.
There are moments in life that stop you dead in your tracks. Moments that no amount of fame, success, or carefully curated social media posts can fully prepare you for. Chip Gaines has spent years letting the world see him as the guy who swings a sledgehammer with a grin, who cracks jokes on camera, who turns broken-down houses into dream homes. But behind all of that energy and laughter, there have been quiet, private battles that most fans never saw coming. Battles involving his sons, the boys who carry his name, his humor, and his love for baseball. Boys who face struggles that left millions of followers heartbroken and emotional when the truth finally came to light. This is the story of the painful chapters, the setbacks no father can protect his children from, and the deep emotional toll that comes with raising a family in the spotlight. Join us as we uncover the full truth. To understand the tragedy that unfolded with Chip Gaines' sons, you first have to understand what baseball means to this family. It is not simply a sport in the Gaines household. It is a language, a bond, and a deeply personal dream that Chip himself once chased. Long before he became one of the most recognizable faces on American television, Chip Gaines played baseball during his senior year of high school and went on to try out at the college level. He pursued his passion for the sport at Northlake College and later transferred to Baylor University with hopes of making the team. Those hopes were not realized. The Bears did not pick him, and Chip had to come to terms with the end of his athletic ambitions at a young age. Rather than becoming bitter about that chapter, Chip chose to transform it into something meaningful. He poured that love of baseball directly into his sons. When Drake, his eldest child, began showing a natural ability for the sport at a young age, Chip's excitement was difficult to contain. He spoke openly about it in an interview with the Dallas Morning News, saying he believed he was raising the next great baseball star. That level of pride and expectation created a beautiful, but also deeply pressurized atmosphere around Drake's development as a player. Drake spent 4 years as a varsity outfielder at Valor Preparatory Academy in Waco, Texas, the same school where his younger brother Duke would later develop his own impressive skills. In that time, the Gaines family became regulars at the ballpark, with Chip and Joanna cheering from the stands and crew members from their television show occasionally capturing those family moments. For Chip, watching his son play was not just about entertainment, that it was about legacy. The idea that the thing he loved and could not fully achieve might live on through the child he helped raise. That dream, however, was about to face its most painful test. When Drake Gaines arrived at the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor in the fall of 2023, the future looked bright. He had earned his spot on the Crusaders baseball team, standing at 5 feet 10 inches and weighing 180 pounds, with the athletic build and the determination to compete at the college level. Fans who had watched him grow up on Fixer Upper were thrilled to follow his progress. His parents were openly emotional about the transition. Joanna Gaines shared heartfelt posts on social media as she prepared to send her firstborn into the world. The whole chapter felt full of promise. Then, in 2024, the promise was suddenly put on hold. Drake missed the entire baseball season due to a significant injury. The university's official athletics records confirmed that he was completely absent from the 2024 season, with the notation simply reading that he missed the season without specifying the exact nature of the injury. This kind of absence in college athletics is not a minor disruption. Missing a full season is a major setback for any player. It means months of watching your teammates play from the sideline. It means physical therapy sessions, the mental grind of recovery, and the constant uncertainty of whether your body will return to the level it once was. To understand the weight of that experience, you have to think about what a sports injury does beyond the physical damage. For a young man in his late teens or early 20s, whose identity is deeply tied to being an athlete, being told you cannot play is an identity crisis as much as it is a medical one. That there is grief involved in losing a season. There is frustration, isolation, and the fear that the window of opportunity in competitive sports may be closing while you are stuck on the sideline. For Drake, who had grown up with Chip's baseball dreams woven into the fabric of his childhood, this must have been an especially heavy burden to carry. And for Chip Gaines, watching his son go through that invisible struggle from a distance was a different kind of heartbreak. The kind that no camera ever captured. While the specific details of Drake's injury have never been publicly disclosed by the Gaines family, a choice that reflects their deep commitment to protecting their children's privacy, we can understand the general medical landscape that young baseball players face when they suffer injuries serious enough to end an entire season that end college baseball. The most common injuries that result in a full season being missed fall into a few major categories. Shoulder injuries are extremely prevalent among outfielders and pitchers because of the repetitive overhead throwing motion the sport demands. Every time a player throws a ball at high speed, the rotator cuff, a group of four muscles and their tendons that stabilize the shoulder joint, absorbs tremendous stress. Over time or through a single traumatic event, these tendons can tear. A partial or complete rotator cuff tear often requires surgical intervention, followed by several months of rehabilitation before a player can return to full strength. Another common category involves elbow injuries, specifically to the ulnar collateral ligament, which is the ligament on the inner side of the elbow that stabilizes the joint during throwing. When this ligament is torn, the procedure required to fix it is called ulnar collateral ligament reconstruction, more commonly known as Tommy John surgery. This procedure involves replacing the damaged ligament with a tendon taken from elsewhere in the body, and the recovery process takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months. For a college athlete, that timeline can mean the loss of one or even two full seasons. Whether Drake faced one of these specific challenges or something else entirely, the reality is that missing an entire competitive season in college sports requires a level of resilience that most people never have to develop. His parents, both of whom know what it means to fight through physical pain and come out the other side, were undoubtedly his greatest support system during that difficult period. And when 2025 arrived, that resilience was put on full display. By the time the 2025 baseball season began, Drake Gaines had done the hard work. He had gone through the recovery process, rebuilt his strength, and earned his way back onto the field. According to official records from the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor Athletics, Drake made 5 pitching appearances during the 2025 season, a notable shift from his previous outfield role that spoke to his adaptability and the team's trust in him. He had transitioned to the mound, stepping into a new role on the team while continuing to pursue his degree in business entrepreneurship. For Chip and Joanna, that return was an emotional watershed moment. The couple had watched their son go from a little boy in a Baylor baseball t-shirt, photographed by his proud father at the stadium, to a young man who had fought through serious physical adversity and refused to give up on his dream. Joanna has been candid in multiple interviews about how emotionally hard it was to watch Drake navigate the difficulties of college life from afar. She has spoken about the physical ache of saying goodbye after a visit home, describing the moment he went back for his second year of college, something she admitted did not get easier. The summer of 2025 offered fans a glimpse into the lighter side of life for the Gaines brothers. Joanna posted a video to Instagram showing Drake and his younger brother Duke racing around the family farm on a tiny motorcycle while their youngest brother Crew jumped out of a tree nearby. The caption was playful, comparing the brothers to the beloved comedic duo from a classic 90s film. But beneath the laughter, what fans were really seeing was a family that had come through something difficult together. A son who had been knocked down by injury and had chosen to stand back up, and a father who never stopped believing he would. While Drake's journey carried its own brand of heartbreak, there is another chapter in Chip Gaines' story as a father that moved fans in a completely different and deeply emotional way. That chapter is named Crew. When Chip and Joanna announced in 2018 that they were expecting their 5th child, the news came as a genuine shock to millions of followers. Their youngest child at the time was already 8 years old. Most people had assumed the family was complete. But in June of 2018, Crew Gaines arrived, and nothing was ever quite the same. The announcement itself was not without fear. When Joanna posted an ultrasound image of baby Crew on social media, fans and people with medical backgrounds began noticing what they believed were concerning features in the image. Specifically, there was discussion online about what appeared to be an unusual accumulation of fluid around the baby, which led to widespread speculation about a serious condition called hydrops fetalis. This is a life-threatening situation where a fetus develops an abnormal buildup of fluid in multiple areas of the body, including around the heart and lungs, which can lead to catastrophic complications. The online conversation exploded. Fans were terrified. Medical professionals who weighed in publicly urged caution, noting that ultrasound images taken out of clinical context can be deeply misleading, with shadows and imaging artifacts often appearing to show things that are not actually there. Crew was born healthy, but the episode underscored something important about the unique vulnerability that comes with being a public figure. Every image the Gaines family shares, every milestone they celebrate online, is processed by millions of people, some of whom bring fear, projection, and their own anxieties to what they see. For Chip, whose natural instinct is to protect his family while keeping things light for the world, navigating that kind of public scrutiny around something as sacred and fragile as the birth of Ophi's child was quietly harrowing. There is a particular kind of grief that comes with watching your children grow up, and Chip Gaines has experienced it in a way that very few parents can fully relate to, because his family's growth has been witnessed, commented on, and emotionally invested in by millions of strangers. When Drake left for college in 2023, Joanna was open about how devastated she was. But Chip's experience was different in a quieter and perhaps even more complex way. He is the one who has consistently projected strength and humor, who keeps the mood light even when things are difficult. He is the person who showed up with jokes and energy on camera even during the years when Joanna was recovering from back surgeries and managing chronic pain. Being that person, the one who carries the family's public face of optimism, takes a toll that rarely gets discussed. Behind the grinning handyman that television built, there is a father who watched his eldest son lose an entire athletic season to injury and could not fix it with a sledgehammer or a renovation plan. There is a father who heard the world speculate in frightening medical terms about his unborn child and had to hold that anxiety privately while presenting calm to the outside world. There is a father whose children are growing up and leaving one by one, and who described in a January 2026 Instagram post just how proud and emotional it was to watch Duke, his 17-year-old son, wind up for a pitch on the baseball field, knowing that in just a year or two, Duke would be making his own college decision and leaving the farm behind as well. Joanna captured the feeling of this season of life precisely when she wrote on Instagram in August 2025, after sending both Drake back for his third year and Ella off for her first year of college. This season already feels like one big, breathless surrender. That single phrase landed with fans because it describes something universal about parenthood. But for Chip and Joanna, it was amplified by the fact that millions of people had watched those children take their very first steps. As if the Gaines family had not already navigated enough emotional territory through Drake's injury and recovery, the next wave is already forming on the horizon. Duke Gaines, now 17 years old and one of the most talked about young baseball players in his school district, is preparing to step into the same journey his older brother charted. Duke plays as a left-handed pitcher and center fielder for Valor Preparatory Academy in Waco, the same school where Drake spent his high school years. Left-handed pitching is considered a significant athletic advantage in baseball because the angle-off delivery is less familiar to most batters, and scouts actively seek out athletes with this skill. As of early 2026, Duke remains uncommitted to a college baseball program, but the expectation among those who follow his development is that he will follow a path similar to Drake's: college ball, the pursuit of a degree, and the daily grind of competitive athletics. For Chip, watching this unfold is bittersweet in the deepest sense. He knows firsthand the physical and emotional demands of that life. He experienced his own moment of athletic loss when baseball did not take him where he hoped it would at Baylor. And now he is watching a second son walk toward that same dream, knowing everything it can give and everything it can take away. Chip shared a touching Instagram post in January 2026, featuring photos of Duke in mid-pitch, winding up with the full intensity of a young athlete who believes in what he is doing. The post was quiet by Chip's usual comedic standards. It felt like a father simply standing back and watching something extraordinary happen, aware that the clock is moving faster than anyone would like. In the middle of all of this, the injuries, the recoveries, the empty bedrooms, the goodbye hugs that never get easier, there is Crew, now 7 years old, Crew Gaines has become something more than just the youngest child in a Busey family. He has become the emotional anchor of the entire Gaines story. Joanna has spoken repeatedly about how Crew changed her as a mother and as a person. She has described him as her little wisdom, the child who taught her to look up, to notice things, to slow down in a life that had been running at a pace no human body was designed to sustain indefinitely. This was the inspiration behind Joanna's 2025 children's book, The World Needs the Wonder You See, a project she has described as belonging to Crew as much as it belongs to her. When the first copy of the book arrived in January 2025, it was Crew who was given the honor of being the first person other than his mother to hold it. That small detail tells you everything about the role he plays in this family. He is not just the youngest. He is the reminder that wonder is still possible, that joy does not have to be manufactured for a camera, and that the most important things in life happen in the quiet in-between moments. I end late 2025, while filming the new show Fixer Upper. Colorado Mountain House in Colorado. The family had a frightening encounter that snapped everyone back to the reality of parenthood. While Chip and Crew were exploring the woods near the property, Joanna spotted what appeared to be a bear moving through the trees. Her immediate and terrified response, expressing alarm that Chip was down there with their son, cut through all the television staging and reminded viewers that behind every camera setup, there are real parents who love their children with everything they have. That moment became one of the most talked about scenes of the new show, not because of the bear itself, but because of what it revealed about Joanna and Chip as parents. And then there was the moment in August 2025 that quietly broke the internet. As Ella Rose, the eldest daughter, prepared to leave for her first year at Parsons School of Design in New York, Crew presented her with a farewell gift. It was a framed dried sunflower with a handwritten note that read, "I will miss you. I love you." Alongside the flower, he had drawn the two of them aspen flowers, side by side, with his name and a heart at the bottom. Joanna posted it to her Instagram stories, and fans around the world were moved to tears. It was such a pure and uncomplicated expression of love from a 7-year-old boy who simply could not imagine the house feeling right without his big sister in it. That is the gift Crew Gaines has given this family, the ability to feel everything fully, without armor, without performance, without the need for any of it to look perfect. The tragedy at the heart of Chip Gaines' journey as a father is not a single dramatic event. It is not one headline or one hospital visit or one moment of floss. It is something quieter and more universal than that. It is the tragedy that every parent eventually faces, the realization that you cannot protect your children from everything. You cannot stop a sports injury from stealing a season. You cannot prevent the public from speculating about your unborn child's health. You cannot hold back the years that carry your children out of your home and into lives of their own. What Chip Gaines has shown through all of it is that the response to that tragedy defines you far more than the tragedy itself. He watched Drake lose a full season and then watched him come back. He held his family together through medical uncertainty and public scrutiny. He stood on the sideline at baseball games with the same love he had when those boys were barely old enough to hold a bat. He let the world see Crew's farewell gift to Ella and did not try to manage the emotion of that moment for the camera. He simply let it be real. Joanna said it best when she described the surrender of this season of life. That word, surrender, is not defeat. It is something braver. It is the decision to love your children fully, knowing that love always comes with loss, and to keep showing up anyway, with the same energy, the same humor, and the same unshakable commitment to the people who matter most. That is the real story of Chip Gaines as a father. And that is why, when fans see these moments play out, they do not just feel moved. They feel seen. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below and tell us, which moment from the Gaines family's journey hit you the hardest? We read every single one. Thanks for watching.